Brent Venables and the Oklahoma Sooners made it to the playoffs last year, but fans still weren't happy about the offense, and there were still rumors about him on the hot seat. Well, with 19 verbal commitments for the class of 27, that's kind of gone away. But that's not the case for every coach. Let's talk about hot seat and how recruiting impacts all of it.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day, each and every day, right here on the nation's #1 sports podcasting network, Locked On. We are brought to you by Mazda. We put the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work, that defines you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. There is more to a Mazda because there is more to you. We're going to be discussing several coaches that have been on the hot seat in some capacity and how that is impacted by recruiting. That is the beginning and end of the show. And here are some of the coaches: Luke Fickell, Dave Aranda, Mike Norvell, Shane Beamer, and yes, Brent Venables. It's ironic because usually when coaches are on the hot seat, they don't recruit very well. Like once that gets to that point, recruits are a little bit like, I'll hold off right here. Well, depending on who you ask, Venables is still at least somewhat in contention for that. If he has a 6-6 season, I'd imagine he would be lined up on the firing squad. That's not expected with Mateer back, better play expected up front on the offensive line, etc. But at the same time, it's still there. And they've got 19 commitments. So the first thing that I want to talk about, this is not just a take, this is just steadfast. There is zero shot that Oklahoma is in this position if the hires that not only Venables made, but the administration had proved, give Oklahoma's admin complete credit here. They hired the right people over the last year or so, and not just like the running backs coach, they got a really good one coming in, blah, blah, blah. All that's great. I'm talking about back office. The recruiting staff, the GM, all of that. I'm not going to go in through all the names and stuff. I can get on their page and list them up. That's not needed. They've hired the right people. Now, it's a good year in state for Oklahoma, but they just went on a recruiting run. One of the kids that committed, Jalen Scott, I know well. He plays with Coastline Stars, the team that I follow around the country, all over from Miami to Las Vegas. But they're doing a good job in their backyard, too. They've got kids committed in state. They've got a few Texas kids. And by the way, that's going to be a big battle to watch coming up. And now all this. So I ask anybody that's out there, whether you're listening to this live and you want to comment in the chat or you want to comment later on, how in the world do you get 19 commitments when some fans still aren't really happy with where OU is? Remember, they're used to scoring a lot of points and their offense struggled last year. But like they got Kaeden Penny committed at a Bixby. It's one of the best programs in Oklahoma. He's an offensive tackle that many think will be a 5-star when all is said and done. They got him already in the fold. That's going to help you get other players, and they got kids all around the country, including Cooper Witten, Jason Witten's kid, and Jason's now working at Oklahoma. That helps, but that's another kid that could very easily be a 5-star linebacker. I think it's a commendable job that they've done it, and to me, if they're at 19, there must be some kind of backing from the boosters and everything else that they're at least turning the corner and they believe in Venables long-term, the people that have money, or else they wouldn't get this many commitments done so quickly. And secondarily, it's just effort. You have to put in effort to get to know kids, their brother and sister, their high school coach, their 7-on-7 coach, their trainer, their O-line guru that they work with, whatever it may be. If you're not getting those kids, you're not going to win. So I think that process for Oklahoma has been streamlined to fit for them. And out of all these guys, I mean, I wasn't sure, say, 2 months ago where Venables would be. And then all these commitments happen. I'm like, he's going to have to really bomb this year. And I think they're a top 15 team on a very conservative note this next year, probably top 10. So I think he's going to be kind of off of it. And it just shows you how wild college football is. So again, hats off to Venables and his entire staff for getting that done. As for the rest of the guys, I'm just going to touch on a few things here that will go into the chat. I want this to kind of expand. I'll talk about a few of the commitments and some of the numbers. But again, Oklahoma's got 19 commits. They have the #1 class right now by a mile. Shane Beamer in South Carolina. I think that he's on a hotter seat than some people think. They have 2 commitments, neither of which is from the state of South Carolina, which is odd. That's the state institution. They've had some success recently. I know last year was bad. They were 4-8, but no in-state commit yet. That is a red flag for me. To me, he's at the top of the board right now. Like, something's not right. And by the way, it's terrible luck. They don't have one, but both of their projected offensive tackles are injured right now. One for the season, and the other is going to be out until like summer or something. Like, they are snake bitten as a program. They do have Lenora Stellers back and some other really good players, but that's a concern. He's number one on my board now. Venables, to me, is pretty much off of it, barring him just completely collapsing. Mike Norvell, this one is interesting. It's somewhere in between. Like, believe it or not, in general, I would think he's number one, but they're recruiting at a pretty good clip. They've got 5 commitments. I like all of them, including Mekhi Williams, who's one of the most heavily recruited DBs in the country. I still think there's a great chance he gets fired this year. I think him and Beamer are the most likely 1A, 1B kind of deal. But they're doing a decent job on the recruiting trail. Kind of like I mentioned with Venables. That doesn't make much sense. They've got a lot of really good kids lined up for OBs. I don't know what the deal is there. He is the hardest one out of this list to read. And for those that are curious, from what I remember, I want to say it was Pete Nakos on On3. He did something a month or two back. Even after the end of this next season, keep this in mind, Norvell's contract, 46.9. Holy moly, that's a lot of money. So that also plays a factor. Dave Aranda, I thought he was going to get fired 2 years ago, and I was sure of it this past year. Neither took place. If anybody's in the state of Texas listening to this at any point, give me your feedback. Why do you think he's still around? Is it the contract? Are they just worried they can't hire another guy that's competent? Are they worried about the leadership that's currently in place that would make the next? I have no idea what it is, but they're pretty much the same team every year. Every game you think they're going to win, they don't, at least in the league, and vice versa. Like, they're hard to predict, very hard. And the biggest weird part of his program, Dave's obviously a defensive guy from his Wisconsin and LSU days. They're terrible on defense. Good offense. How does that work? Very strange. For what it's worth, Baylor's got 4 commitments right now, and they're good players. I got one kid from the Dallas area. It's really good. But it's not hard to recruit to Baylor. You're an hour from the Metroplex. That's an easy job to at least have a top 25 class, in my opinion. And they haven't gotten to that point consistently and gotten over the top, and they certainly don't look like they've been developed. I still think there's a good chance he could get fired any given year. Luke Fickell, this one is the most intriguing for Big Ten fans. I just want to comment on him really quick. We'll go to break and come back and go into the chat. I thought that he was going to get canned at the end of this last year, and I kept getting notes from Ryan Herrings, my governor, Locked On Badgers. They don't have the stomach for it. They don't want to eat the contract. They don't want to spend the money on it. They don't know who they would hire, yada, yada, yada. Then they had a booster dive in and give them quite a bit of money, like big money booster. And their portal class was good. Colton Joseph, they added a few more recruits, and they're off to a decent start. They got 4 in-state recruits that are very good players. Okay, that's a good start. He's the one in the middle for me. They still need to win more this next year. It's going to be a hard start. They play Notre Dame inside a Lambeau Field game 1. Good luck with that. But their schedule is not as hard overall, especially the Big Ten slate. And more importantly, it's a little more balanced in terms of when they play games. Like the back half of their schedule last year was just, it was insane. They were lucky to get to the win total they did. But they'll be in a bowl this year. But how good of a bowl? That'll tell you if A, the recruits will stick with Wisconsin, and B, here's the big one, if they can add the pieces to really take that step forward. 7 or 8 wins would be nice this year, and it's possible. Badger fans want to be mentioned, at least down the stretch of seasons. Hey, we got a chance to go to the Big Ten title. They want to at least be in that conversation. This year's team, I don't see that, barring something unforeseen. They need this class and then the next class to kind of be on that level. So if that booster is still involved, it'll help him stay off the hot seat. And recruiting for the Badgers, I mean, it really does depend on this year. They've got to find a way at minimum to reach 7 wins, which I think is achievable. After that, we'll see. I'm sure I'll be on Locked On Badgers soon enough to talk with Ryan Herrings. How is this going to impact Wisconsin long-term? that is a topic for another day. Now, when we come back, what do you think? Which coaches out of this list that I talked about should be on the hot seat or will get fired? Is there anybody I missed? Is there anything else that you really want to go into? There's a lot to discuss right here on Locked on the Portal. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at 5 Hour Energy. I truly appreciate everything that's going on with 5 Hour Energy because they've come up with some pretty cool stuff. And to be honest with you, the 5 Hour Energy Draft is part of it. 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like confetti craze, fruity rainbow, cotton candy, and there's all kinds of things. There's a little bit of everything for you or anybody else. Board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number one pick for the 5 Hour Energy Draft. It will be the same every day that we talk about this. It is always, for me, blue raspberry. I am a big snow cone guy. I do not deviate from that, and I'm honest about it. I would take that number one. After that, there are a lot of different reasons to go with different flavors. I'm a pretty straightforward guy, but I am really curious about cotton candy, probably the most. I like vanilla, and it has a hint of vanilla with some fruity twist to it. I like it quite a bit. And I am also very much a guy that, again, very traditional. I like cherry. I like strong flavors. It has a candy style flavor. Cherry's really good. Grape's another one that's popular. So is berry. It's kind of similar to blue raspberry. I like it. And another one that's a little underrated is peach mango. It has a ripe peach flavor on the first sip of it. So whatever it is that you like, make sure you check out all the different opportunities with 5 Hour Energy and get your opportunity today. Just head on over to 5 Hour Energy and you can get just about anything you want. Again, they got 18 new flavors to check out. 5 Hour Energy shots available at 5hourenergy.com or over at Amazon. We are also brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. If you want to talk about all the opportunities that are going on, there's not much better than what's going on with Indeed because the workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing in one position you got to fill is still open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate kind of falls into place and stumbles across your job post. Here's the best thing that kind of puts it in perspective. Over the minute I'm going to be speaking with you, per the Indeed data, 27 companies like yours are going to make a hire through Indeed. That's pretty impressive. So spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all the boxes. That means less stress for you, less time you're going to be away from your actual workday, and that means more results and, of course, more money. Listeners of this show also get a $75 sponsored job credit. Just head over to Indeed.com/podcast. And Indeed.com/podcast is going to be an opportunity for you to get the best opportunity with Indeed to find the person that you need to hire. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Today's show is also an opportunity to remind you of the Everydayer Club. And there is a little bit of an extra thing that's going on right now, too. With the Everydayer Club, we got the NCAA tournament coming up. And with that, if you sign up before the NCAA tournament tips off, you can go to the Everydayer Club bracket pool on Discord for a chance to win Locked On merch. Should be a lot of fun. Right now, you can use code MARCH to get your first month free of the Everydayer Club. Just check it out. It's pretty simple. Locked On, I've got Locked On Seminoles, and of course, we've got Locked On the Portal, either one of those and any of our other channels. Whatever site you're into, make sure you check it out. It's got a lot of opportunities. Again, the main thing that I tell everybody every day, $5 a month or $50 a year, no ads on your audio. That's a great feat. All right, well, let's talk about the opportunity now for you to kind of voice your opinion. I've got several comments to get to in the chat. We'll see what we got in here today. Salty in here as usual. What we got? A coach on the hot seat has a good recruiting class. Does he have to play many of them immediately, or can he have another bad year and ask people to wait until that recruiting class hits the field? Depends on how many years you've been there. Salty, you've been around recruiting a long time and followed it. You know the deal here. How far into the hot seat are you? Is it year one or is it year two? If you're the latter, you're probably going to get less leeway. Year one, like things are trending in the wrong direction, you might get that extra year. It's about timing, my friend. It is about timing. It is a good thing to have 19 commits by the start of March, or is it a good thing That's a good question. Typically, it is hard to hold on to all those guys. Other teams now know what they have to offer to be better than what Oklahoma offered. 2 points on this. I understand that principle, and a lot of teams, Notre Dame has had some big early starts recruiting SC last year. But the new trend to alleviate the problem that Salty's talking about here is the following. Here is our deal. This is the NIL, but as a part of that, you are not allowed to take visits. That's the new thing. I'm guessing that Oklahoma's doing that. I don't know for sure, but that's one of them. The deal is void if you take visits, kind of deal. Now, how true that is it held to a certain level? Because elite players, I don't know if they're going to do that. That's interesting. So keep that in mind. In the transfer portal era, does a good recruiting class mean what it used to mean? Some of those guys aren't going to wait even a year or two to get on the field when other schools will start them. I don't think it does hold as much weight, but I grade it a little differently than I used to. If you're not recruiting linemen, you're done. You're not on my short list. Linemen usually stick around a little longer, especially offensive linemen, and secondarily, those guys just don't transfer at the high end level, like the elite tackles on either side. So if you're not getting those guys, you're probably not winning titles. That's how I kind of mitigate it, but it is very, very difficult. Which is worse regarding daylight savings time, spring forward or falling backward? Probably forward in a way because you lose an hour of sleep. My weekend was good, by the way. I did not watch the Woo Holtz thing, but I've seen a lot of clips on Woo. Katie, Dabo would love to have Venables back. I bet he would, but that ship has sailed. Katie, I am very impressed by the depth of your college football knowledge. You are a no amateur, that's for sure. That's from Salty. Katie. Nice compliment there. Katie, I thought Fickell would do better at Wisconsin. I did too, but they didn't give him the money to start with. And from what I'm told, for whatever it's worth, their facilities aren't as nice as you might think at Wisconsin compared to other Big Ten schools. How does that work out? I really can't say long term because they are recruiting better, got 4 in-state commits, but they just started donating the money and they need. Are they going to take that next step because they allegedly got top 1/3 of the conference NIL money? Need to see how that works out this year if they win more. That's you got to win at some point to get the elite kids. Let's see here. Katie, and you're correct about Dabo and Fickell. Jared Moore, with Penn State recruiting outside the footprint and more in the Midwest, does that open the door for James Franklin? I mean, relationships are still the biggest thing. Virginia Tech and Penn State have always butted heads in recruiting. I don't think it's going to make a whole lot of difference because you might recruit a few kids for like Iowa and Illinois and Minnesota and stuff if you're Penn State. But overall, you're still going to hit Virginia, D.C., Maryland, those are the areas you're going to really swing for the fences and go up against Virginia Tech the most. I think Penn State will still win the majority of those battles, but maybe you lose one more kid because you're recruiting other guys too. I think kids are still going to pick the school they want to go to. Even if you're recruiting somebody else from another area, I don't think recruits will look at that. They're going to hit Virginia. Penn State will always hit Virginia. They always have. So I'm curious to see what happens with that. Salty, Smitty, you may be a straightforward guy on 6 Hour Energy Flavors, but take a walk on the wild side. Yeah, I'm not a guy that strays off the path that much. I'm blue raspberry. That's just my flavor, man. Katie, I knew it. My 2 graduate degrees are scientific as well. I knew I liked you. My 2 Miami degrees are scientific. That's right. Miami is a really good school. I think Franklin will eventually take over the Atlantic Coast Conference. I'm also very high on Rhett Lashley. SMU is a program to continue to watch. They got a ton of money, man. That matters. Jared, it's all about the money. Now you're going to see shorter contracts for coaches. I'm not sure about that because it's pretty much collusion from the agents. Either you sign a 7+ year deal or you're not getting him. And the expectation from fans with such a small window and time and all that, coaches / more importantly, the agents have the leverage over the coaches. That's just my opinion on it, but I digress. So we'll see how that goes. When we come back, I want to talk about recruiting from a perspective of not just what's going on with the hot seat, but why the month of March sets the table. It's very, very important because we got official visits coming up. And a lot of you are probably curious, okay, is my team, is it doing the right things? Is it going to happen? We're going to get into some of that. And I'll also touch on this right here. For those of you that are watching on YouTube now, I've got a few questions on OU, and we're going to apply some of these as well as it relates to what's going on at other schools. I think that it's going to be a very wild year, especially with people kind of having a better understanding of NIL and the transfer portal now. This is going to be a lot of fun. So when we come back, we'll hit that next right here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Mazda. This is Mazda's moving the game forward for those who show there's more to the score than what is on the screen. For me, I'm going to use Venables as a great example. He is a wizard when it comes to defensive philosophy. They had a great defense last year in Norman, but he also had to reestablish his staff, as I noted earlier in today's Locked on the Portal live show. And they've just done a great job in the back office. You're going to win more games with more talent. And to do that, you've got to sign the right people in your office that fit your program to maximize what you can do. And hats off to Venables. And again, the administration at OU for getting it done. I think it's been really good. These kinds of situations really remind us what it takes to raise the bar, that extra work off of the field, dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, and I will never quit. We put the same passion into every model. Highlights make the reel. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there is more to you. All right, let's talk a little bit about, and I'm going to use Oklahoma here as my barometer, but that doesn't mean that it isn't applying to other schools too. There's some of this you can apply in other directions, like Miami, Notre Dame, Texas, whatever. First question, can Oklahoma hold on to the number one class? It's possible. It depends, A, how many kids are you going to take? B, how good of a season Oklahoma has? Are they going to win a lot of the battles that they're going to have to go up against LSU, A&M, Arizona State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Florida, et cetera, in the Metroplex? Like Dallas for Oklahoma is really important, but especially Texas A&M and Texas, those battles with OU are usually important. They don't have a Dallas kid yet in that class that I'm shocked by. There's going to be a 50-50 battle somewhere in there. It's going to tilt it one way. I mean, Texas is eventually going to come up the ranks, A&M, et cetera. OU's just got the commitments early. They got 19, and it's great. But I expect some battles down the stretch that will determine what happens. If they hold on to the number one class, it's winning battles in a critical area. So we can apply this to other schools too. Look at it this way. Miami's battling to get Mark Matthews. This is an example. Julius Jones Jr. and several other kids in South Florida. If they lose those kids, which honestly in the last 20 plus years, Miami's lost too many of them, Miami's not going to have a number one class. They may not have a top five, but they've got a great chance at it if they win those battles. Whatever city or little area it is, for your school, whoever it may be, are you going to win those battles in that critical area? That is always a major key. Number two, how does recruiting distract fans? So this question is related to the hot seat and everything. A, it gives you hope for the future. If you don't see hope, why in the world would you want that coach still at your institution representing your program? That's the antithesis of winning. So there it is. Distraction is actually reality. You need to know that you have the players coming in that can get you to that next level. And if you don't, it's not going to work out so well. Finally, on this, and you can insert a different team name here, what is next for Oklahoma? I think, again, it's Dallas and kind of winning that battle for some key guy. I think they need to get a playmaker at wide receiver that is a big-bodied player that could be a dominant guy. They haven't had that person in a little while. And I also think that they just need to keep mining guys on defense that just fit what Brent wants to do in terms of schematics. As long as they, especially that first one, if they can get that playmaker, Brent can make a lot of things go with his really good staff at Oklahoma. They'll figure it out. But if they get that playmaker on offense for some of the young guys they have at quarterback and just their young offensive linemen, and they've got a great class. Matter of fact, I'll go through a few of them. Kaeden Penny He's a great player out of Bixby, maybe the best offensive tackle in the country. He's a local kid. They got Cooper Hackett, Fort Gibson, another Oklahoma player, another big offensive tackle committed. Cooper Witten, of course, his dad's Jason. They just got Seneca Driver, one of the best tight ends in the country, maybe the best out of the state of Kentucky. Great pickup for Oklahoma. They got Taven Epps, one of the better athletes, guy that could be an edge, a defensive end, outside linebacker type. They just got Jalen Scott, a kid that I know very well out of Mobile, plays at Williamson High School. He's a versatile player, could play free safety, strong safety, or nickel. And they got maybe my favorite defensive end in this class just from a effort standpoint, Crew Jones. I love watching him play. Great kid. This is a loaded class just through that. And they've got more. Mikhail McCreary, a corner for San Antonio, and on and on. They've got all kinds of players. That's a great group. So, again, you can apply this list however you want to your school, but there are so many good players still uncommitted, and we're just kind of getting there. So we'll talk about that soon. Thank you very much for checking out the Portal Podcast. It has been a fun one. We will see you again soon.